The topic of this presentation is an updated version of Part 7 using and creating other MSMS libraries. Note, it is an updated as part of the NIST 26 course, but it was originally part of a 2020 through 2023 MSMS course. So the first part, I will include my new conclusions about things that are important in the NIST 26 in creating user libraries. But then I'll leave the second part as it was originally, and it'll have some problems. There might be some things that need to be updated, but I decided to keep it because people still look here for 2020 and 2023 solutions. So I wanted to talk about creating an updated Mona LC MSMS library. It's one of the most important ones because it has structures with it in NIST format. This is one of 6 slides. And this is a new method, and I've got this, it shows where I downloaded it from. It showed the whole process, pretty much screenshots. I'm not going to go through it because it takes, 30 or 40 minutes to do the process. But I think I've got all the screenshots and where the files were and what their names were and the sizes and the software I used and the critical settings all within this. The only problem is when you were doing this, you could see here that it always was asking this hundreds of times for help in saying okay to structures it found marginal or something minor. But I tried searching some of these structures after I created the Mona database in this format, and they seemed to work. So I had this auto key thing that ChatGPT helped me develop. It showed me how to do a script, and every time it would come up with an okay, it would just say okay, and so it went to the end, so I didn't have to interact. I just left the computer, let it run for a while, and it looped around and around till it finished. Very helpful. So when I got through, I need to move the library into the NIST folder in the MS search, and here's what it is. I called it something later on the website, but this is how I created it here, and then I changed the name later, I think, to Mona LC MSMS or something like that on my website. One thing you have to do is you have to rebuild the structure search databases, and you'll see it's not capitalized here. So when you run this and you build it, then it'll link all the structures together so you can search them. If you don't, it'll display the structures, but you cannot search the structures. So I did a lot of testing when I got through, and it does the majority of the things real well. The hybrid search was a little funny that it wouldn't do it initially, but then after I tried a couple of things, it worked, and I never could get it to fail again. For the high resolution, no precursor tolerance was greater than 479 could not work for the Mona library, or even the MS Dial positive and negative libraries. But in current test, if I put in the high resolution MSMS NIST in the list that was being searched with the public libraries, it worked. So it appears to be very useful with no erratic behavior in identity MSMS, the most important search, and the hybrid in almost all cases. This has probably got to do with the file structures of libraries from MS-DIAL and Mona in MSP format or SDF format are just not controlled as well as the NIST MSP libraries and associated MOL files. They just come from a lot of different sources, and I guess that's not really surprising, but I still think it's very useful. So the initial part of the video applies to NIST 2026. The rest of the video was copied from 2020, 2023 course as it was in those years. Most of that in those latter 2020, 2023 video will be useful, but some info on Mona and public libraries could be outdated. So I hope you find this useful, and I'll attach the other video right after this. Thank you. Good day.
Good afternoon. This is part 7 of a multi-section webinar series on the LC mass spec unknown identifications using MSMS libraries. And this part is covered using and creating other MSMS libraries. And really, NIST search considers anything that's not a NIST commercial library as a user type library. So you have to convert it in some way to get it in the hybrid format in particular that will be searched within the NIST search. And this session will talk about that and how to create your own libraries, user libraries, how you go about that process. So I've already created a session on EI and unknown identification using the NIST libraries and the NIST search. But I feel like that the use of MSMS libraries is greatly underutilized compared to EI type searches, but I think it can be very valuable in unknown identification. So I wanted to go through the software thus that I could encourage other people to take advantage of this powerful technique. With every one of the sessions that I created, there's a table of contents and a very detailed handout that tells one how to use all of the things that I demonstrate in the video and more. So you really need to read this to actually do it. The video is just to give you an idea of some of the concepts. And of course, like I said, this is part of an 8-part series that teaches you how to use the software, how to do structure searches, etc. So take a look at the other ones. I think they'll be very useful to you if you like to do unknown identification using LCMS data. So let's start with the NIST search first. Before you can actually use this software, you have to import the library that you want in the proper format. So I thought I would demonstrate that using one of the MONA databases. If you go out to their website, we'll go out there and look. There's a bunch of them. Really, the ones that are most important that I think are the LC MSMS spectra, this collection of 142,000 here. And possibly you could use the GCMS spectra and download them and turn them into NIST libraries. But I've already done that for you. If you want to try them and don't want to go through this process, on my website, I've created 2 NIST libraries of these 2 large collections here that you can download and put in your NIST search folder and give them a try and see if they're useful to you. But all that being said, I'll show you how to do a small one today because it takes too long to watch while we're sitting here. So I'll first have to download that library. So you're going to download this VII library, 212 spectra. The MSP format only contains the spectra. The SDF contains the spectra and the structures in a format that NIST can convert. So I'll download that first, and it's downloaded it. And just put it wherever you want to. It's best to put it in the NIST search folder. So NIST 20 MS search. So I'll just save it there. I'll skip the next step. You have to go to that folder and unzip the file because it's actually in a zip folder. And so you have to unzip it to get the SDF file to show up at that level. So I've already done that, so I won't bother doing that in this example. And then you have to go open lib2nist. I don't have it open yet, so let's just find it, lib2nist converter. And it's a utility that NIST makes for doing these conversions. And so I need to go find that file now, but you need to first set up the options, and the options are in the handout. There's a lot of, anytime you do anything in NIST, you have to set up some options. So it's best you read the detailed material if you want to actually do this process, but I'll show you the basic ones. The most important one is this MSMS spectra only. If you try to bring it in one of the larger databases, like the MONA database, it's 142,000. I think it only does around 50-something thousand. There's some upper number if you don't select this. So you need to make sure you do that to get it in the right format and allow you to convert larger databases. So you say, okay, don't want to change anything else. And then I have to go find the file. So I add the input library. And here's the one I downloaded that I unzipped. Like I said, it didn't come this way. You have to go unzip it first. But after you unzip it, you just select it, say open. Select it again to show that's what you plan on converting. Then you have to decide which format you want. NIST MS libraries, the format. It does a lot of different formats for doing other things, but that's the one we need for the binary format to actually work as a NIST hybrid library, and just say convert. And now if you go to your NIST search and look for that and set it up as a library, it will be there. So you just add it to your list and search. So it's not real difficult to do, but you just have to get everything down to the right place. You have to get it in the right folder. You have to unzip it. And then you have to make sure it's in the right place when you put it back. If it's not in the right folder and you create it somewhere else, sometimes the NIST program will try to put an alias within the NIST 20 MS search folder. And that might confuse you. It's better if you get rid of that file with the alias in it and actually put the folder that has, I think, 45 to 55 files, that indices that it created in that file, in the NIST 20/MS search folder, so it can be used by the NIST search program. So that's That's pretty much it. That's how you do a conversion. The next thing I want to show you is how to create your own user library. That's another big part of the handout. So I've imported the spectrum. Let's say I got it from Agilent or Thermo or some other manufacturer's data system program. And I showed you how to import in another session in this series. And I imported the spectrum. So we have this that we want to add, and we think we know what it is now, and we want to add it to our library. So the first thing you do is you have to go to the librarian folder down here. So let's go to the librarian folder. That's where all the things are added in. So down at the bottom here, librarian, and you'll see the test here. Before you edit it though, we do need a structure. So I need to back up a little bit, and I'll go to my drawing program. And I've already put in the structure. I drew it one way or the other. And you have to select it. So select what you want, say edit, copy. Now it's in the clipboard. It's ready to go into the library editor. So you go over the library editor, you open it up, and you say edit. All right, here's our spectrum here. If you need to get rid of some of the masses, you can select them. You can use the control keys on your keyboard to select more than one if you want to, or the control or the shift key. But if you actually want to get rid of something, you select it, and then there's an accept key if you want to add things here, but there's no delete key. So you have to use the delete key on your keyboard, on your actual keyboard, and go hit the delete key, and it'll make the mass or masses go away. You can see it's a little sad it doesn't have a structure, but we'll get a structure here. We'll bring it from the clipboard. And so that's the structure that we had in our clipboard. It pops in here. And what you want to do is say, you want to calculate the formula and the molecular weight from the structure. So it automatically does that for you. You can add any other information you want. You can also add additional information, such as a precursor ion. If it didn't happen to have one, if you want to add something here, you have to click on it once, click on it twice, and now it turns into a white box, and you can put what you want, and you say, okay. This one already has the precursor, which is good. This data system imported a lot of things that are useful, so there's not much to add in that regard. The other thing is, when we add things to our library, we put a lot of comments in there about where things come from, et cetera. And usually we're doing a set of them. So there might be 10 or 15 things in a set. And it gets really tedious to have to type them in every time. So we always keep Notepad open. And you just type what you want in the Notepad once, and then you select it and right click and say copy. Come back into your editor, and we're going to put this in as a comment. And there you go. And so you can put as many things as you want in there. You can also put in these other additional information things here if you want to, fields, if you're going to do the same one in every one. If you read the detailed text, it tells you how to paste those in too, so you don't have to type each one if you type in the proper designator every time. But I won't show you that, but it's in the text if you want to do it. And then all you have to do, if you want to add this to the list, because you maybe want to look at it in MS Interpreter, take a closer look at it before you add it to your library, then add it to the list. But here, we'll go just and add it directly to the library. And we'll add it to, if you want to put in a new library, just type it, let's say demo_test. If you had a current library, just select it and then add it to it. So we'll add this to this new library we're creating, since this is our first spectrum, but the next time we would just select demo_test when we wanted to add spectrum 2, 3, 4, etc. And that's pretty much it. The only thing you might have to do if you want to search that library right now is come over to Tools and say Update List of Libraries, so you can actually see that library, because the library program, when it opens, decides what libraries are present to search. So if you create a new library, it will not show up. Now, if you want to do a hybrid search of this particular database, you'll have to export it and bring it back in. So you export it as SDF or MSP with mole files, as described in my detailed text, and bring it back in, because that's the only way to create the hybrid loss indices you need to do the hybrid search. If you want to do the similarity search or the one that's just matching the spectra, then it doesn't matter as much. But the hybrid has some special indices, so you have to create those. And when we were doing EI, you could re-index this EI hybrid search, but they currently do not have a similar command for indexing the MSMS hybrid searches. So that's pretty much everything that I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you how to use the lib2nist utility, so you could convert libraries into NIST format, hybrid format, so you could search for your, say, if you had a current user library you wanted to convert into hybrid format, if you wanted to convert the MONA databases, or if you wanted to convert WILE. The WILE do not come with the hybrid indices needed to do a hybrid search, but you can use lib2nist to bring them up to date with that regard also. So that's pretty much it. I hope you find this useful, and it'll be a little bit more tedious than some of the other things that we've demonstrated in the other sessions. So it'll take a little study on your part to get up to speed on this part. But I think if you can do it and create your own user libraries, we have about 55,000 our EI and MSMS EI and MS libraries at Eastman, and they're invaluable to have your own personal libraries. So I highly encourage you to create your own as a way of archiving information that you don't have to find again by starting from scratch every time. Good luck.